All right, for PayPal, I'm going short. There's some bad news on it, and it has gone up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row. Now it's got a little bit of bad news. So we're going to let this thing hopefully short today. I'll add to the position if it comes up to the moving averages. PayPal first. I closed all my permanent positions and I shorted by buying a put, but in the day trade we have here, we just simply started to short 5 shares when we got a good setup, and we kept adding to it and adding to it. So let's look at that. On the daily chart up here before it crossed down through these moving averages when it was way up here, I expected to probably go down and even touch this 8. When it was dropping below this pivot right here on the 2-minute chart, we got to look at it as it developed my favorite pattern, and that is the 50, the 20, and the 8 all going in the same direction. Granted, this was based on news too, so I feel more confident having some news or stimulus to understand the direction of this thing. But the 50, the 20, and the 8 are all going down. So as soon as it gets trapped in a small narrow range bar here under the fastest moving average, or here's another one, once it comes up over the top and comes back down, then the very next candle would be your entry point. So we re-shorted there as well. Right here. We shorted a bunch of times right here in this area. I caught that really narrow bar up the top and then on this extension down. So when it rose up here, it bothered me a little bit because it almost stopped me out. But as soon as it came back down and closed back down on the very next candle, we started shorting as well. We had our sell signal much higher up here. This tells us that the 8 and the 20 have crossed below the 50. And once the 8, the 20, and the 50 are going in the right direction, then we have more confidence to short. Just got to find a narrow range bar and use the top of it as our stop loss. As we did down here as well. We found a narrow range bar, used it as a stop loss, and covered a couple when it came down here, but then noticed that it was reversing again. And so on this candle, we shorted back some of what we covered. So on these candles here, we covered some of our position, but it looks like it's going to keep going down. So we got back in some of that. Not the whole thing we covered, but we just added a little bit more. So what is the ultimate target? We do need to start thinking about that. And it could easily, on the day chart with bad news, come crashing down through the 8 moving average here. The 8's below the 20 anyway, so it's not even a bullish. I mean, it was bullish a little bit on the daily chart, but you can see that the 8 never even crossed over. The 8 never even crossed over, so we still have an easy tendency for it to just come crashing down. So I'm going to keep the short on, and I'm not even going to really worry about any stop outs until we got a break even way up here. If things were to go real bad, we're at least going to make our money back plus what we covered earlier. So I'm sitting good on this, and I do have to admit, having some news for the day actually gives me a lot of confidence in these trades. But this is how the trades are supposed to work, and this is the technique that I like the most. So on a trend trade anyway, this is trend trading in particular. Now let's go look at NVIDIA. All right, back to PayPal. Let's take a look at what's going on the daily chart at the top. It looks like it didn't quite come down to that 8. So you could say it's got more to go to bounce off of it, or in the end, if the bad news isn't that bad and it decides to continue up, then that could be the low. So here on the 2-minute chart, we're seeing a reversal situation take place, but it could just simply be a 2-legged pullback. The 50, the 100, and the 200 are coming down and expanding. So it isn't unusual that it pulls a long 2 or 3-legged pullback before reversing. Now if price starts to get over the 50 and the 50 still coming down, then we'll watch it very carefully that it does not bend or move the 50 going up, that it stays down, and we'll look for a reversal pattern to short some more. So we got to watch this closely now. It will be the same situation over here if we're looking at the 5-minute chart, how it's coming up to the 20. We've got the 50 and the 100 going down. Everything's below the 200. So if it does come up to even the 20 is going down still. So this is a down situation. It's a pullback to a down situation. So we will want to look for places to short. I did short a little bit more right here. I don't know if I mentioned that on the last clip. It did not continue down. I could have stopped out right here on this piece, but I'm holding it because we're profitable and I still believe this is going to go down. So right now at this point we need to really pay attention because it's hitting the 20 moving average on the 5-minute chart and the 50 on the 2-minute chart here. And over here on the 15-minute chart, if it continues up, it'll be striking right into the 8 and the 100 coming down combination right there. Let's get ready to see that. So let's pay attention to what our plan is here. To short, but get a good short signal. So now it is touching the 50, touching the 20. This line right here is the pivot, or the open, or yesterday maybe? The open of yesterday. Maybe the bottom of yesterday. You can see on the daily chart here that price is coming up to the bottom of yesterday. So that's the bottom of yesterday. And the 20 moving average is right up there too. And so that's a good place for it to roll around if it does, with the 50 coming straight down here. So we could use this candle even as, if it closes narrow like this, as a stop loss at the top of it. So we'll keep an eye on what it does and I will let you know. All right, I'm interested to see how this works out. I'm just experimenting here. It started to turn red, and so I shorted immediately. And I got a stop loss right above this candle. If it goes green and touches the top of the previous green candle, I am going to get out of that position, just that one size. And here
Order
it comes.
filled.
So yeah, see, it did not continue down on that redness. And so that was a good guess. It was a very short, very small stop loss. But what's it going to do? Is it going to keep going up forever here? You know, the 50's still going down. Now on the 5-minute chart, you know, it's starting to push up over the 20. Will it close over the 20? All right, back over to PayPal. I'm just battling this thing here. Let's see. I tried to short a little bit here. It went back up. And I shorted some more because of what happened at the 50 and the 20. It started to look like it was getting red. So I stopped out of that because it went right up. Then I started to play this top here when it turned red, and I shorted and I held it all the way down, and it crossed the trend line and it came right back up through the trend line. Amazing. So I had to stop out of some of it. Came right back the way I want. So now I'm shorting again. Is this over trading? Yeah. But I'm convicted that it's going down. And this is a typical double top pattern here for a reversal. But it's really shaking me up a little bit. This trend line is broken. And it's trying to stay on this side of the trend line, but it could grind up and keep going higher. This is just a wild looking price action. So I'm trying to stay in the short as long as I possibly can because I believe it's going to go back down, test the bottom. So I'll let you know what's going on, but I am over trading, and I'm not necessarily got my mind made up on what I want to do. I do want to stay in the trade for PayPal. But I've got to keep my stop loss like I did right here. I was convicted right here. I better stop out of this if it doesn't go down on this candle right here. And I got out of it immediately. So then I shorted again here, and I got out of this again immediately for the same price. Right? So those two stop outs were pretty good. I've got my mind back into the trade here again. And technically, the stop out would be above this pivot here. So if I was going to stop out of it again, I need to put my stop loss at the top of that. So let's do that. With PayPal, I do want to note that the trade that we were looking for over here on the 50 moving average on the 2-minute chart, even though it kept going up and stopped me out, and even though it stopped me out here again, this whole time, this whole area, this whole double top thing, this whole time, the 50 moving average never changed its down trajectory. Keep that in mind and learn from that. Amazing. So if I am getting in too early, or I need to wait for a better pattern, because this is a better pattern. That doesn't mean it's going to work, but a pattern where I think this was a good short right here. Once it crossed the trend line, it came back up and failed, and I shorted again. I think that was a good spot to short, and it seems to be, because it came down quite a bit, you know. And perhaps I should have covered some down here. And I tried to get it to come down to the pivot all the way. That's where my target was. But all I did was add some more on this bar here. And I don't know if that was the smartest idea, really. Maybe not a bad idea to take profits. But I guess I see a lot of traders playing the momentum like that. And I just wanted to give it a try. But I'll let you know what happens here. I'm still short. It's going back up to break even. I mean, this thing has got some serious bounce to it. But hopefully it won't go all the way back up. I'm going to get out of some if it comes all the way to break even, because that's just, I just can't. What I should have done here is sold down here, right at this pivot. I should have got out something at that pivot. And then if it came back up to break even, sell that same position again. And that was, yeah, that was a mistake, because I shorted right here. Is it going to come all the way back up to where I shorted and literally just zero price on this nice dip down? I hate when that happens. Sometimes that happens. It does like to come back up to the pivots that it breaks down from and test that pivot area. Okay, I'm going to try something else. It came all the way back up. I did cover some at my entry price. I just can't bear losing anything on that trade. And I'm going to try to short it back down. We got a narrow range bar. And if it triggers me in here, I'll have a stop loss right above that narrow range bar. So that's a good
order filled.
Okay, so now I'll cover right at the top of that just in case. See what I'm saying? I want to try to short down here and cover at the top of this. If it pokes back over the top, then there's nothing I can do except try to figure out and learn from this. I think some of this stuff, it's just the way the market goes, and you can't really avoid it. All right, with PayPal, what happened here? It came down, and I missed the pivot. I was going for something too far down. I added on this candle when it was close to the pivot. Shouldn't have done that. And then when it came back up, I tried a couple of times to short it. It just kept on going up, so I closed the position. All right. Looking to short it again, but I'm not even sure where the entry would be. The 5-minute chart is giving false sell signals. So, that's not good. The ups and downs, the swings on the 15 per candle are just completely engulfing one another. That's just consolidation junk. So I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get a chance to short it again. You would think that I would be able to with what's going on here with the 100, the 200, and the 50 all going in the same cotton picking direction. You would think that I could get some kind of trade out of this that would work for me. So I guess I could keep trying, but where is the... I could go right here, short, because we have a pintail here. See, if the 50 is going up, then we have the situation that I have to get out of, because you don't want the 50 going up with the 20 and the 5. And that's pretty much what we're looking at here. It's starting to turn. It hasn't quite turned yet, I don't think, but if it does, that's definitely not going to be something I want to short. In this area, I understand, but if that 50 starts to turn up, I do not want to short it. So now I'm really in a pickle. So let's learn, keep learning. Okay, on PayPal, you can see now clearly that the last green candle had made the 50 moving average curve up. And so you don't want to be trying to short that at this point. You definitely want these moving averages to be all trending down, gives you, and where we had the opportunity, it just did not work. Except for this one time here, something did work, and I failed to capitalize on that. So let's learn from this failure right here, right? Because this is the area that really could have made a difference. So with PayPal here, I shorted on that candle, even though the 50 was moving up, which was probably not a good idea. And I shorted on that candle. It did go down, but it didn't go down to my target. And I had chose to stop out right close to the break-even point of this particular ad. Or no, half of it anyway. So I'm actually still short 5 shares on this, which I probably should have stopped out of everything up there at break-even. Right, because it's just going up.
Order
Let me
filled.
get out. Let me stay firm on the fact that I told myself not to take trades short if the 20 and the 8 and the 50 are all going the same way. This price action is just chopping around just enough to test that on me. And even though it may go down, you know, I don't like the 50 going up. And I have to be real rigid about that, okay? Real rigid about that. So right now, I'm closed all my positions. Now, I don't know if it's going to work or not. I just want to record one of my favorite trade setups when price closes below the 8, the 20, and the 50. And I get a narrow range opportunity. I like to try to just short it right now. This is a very tight stop loss on purpose. But you'll notice that it's done it here, closed below those 3, and immediately went up. And here it closed below those 3 and went down some. And so it could easily stop me out. But the good thing is that it's a very small stop loss. So I'll let you know. I like what it's doing on the 5-minute chart, but it's got, it tested that trend line. And everything's going in the right direction. I think, yep, all of the moving averages are going in the right direction. And there's a chance it could come down here, but it's so choppy. See, now that's not good because now this next bar is up.
Order filled.
Okay, so that was a very tiny stop loss. Like even if it stayed in this range right here and didn't go any higher, if it came back down and turned red, I want to try to short it past this trend line, like it is doing right now. I mean, I think that this is a good spot to try to short this. But the problem is that the 50 moving average is going up, and I hate that. But the 5-minute chart looks intact, pretty good. So I did get stopped out of that, but that's the kind of trade setup that I like, except the 50 not going up. Now for PayPal here, I'm going to see if this trade setup will actually happen. We got a trend line coming up. I'd like to see it broken. We have another trend line going this way, which might be the better trend line to try this on. But if it breaks these trend lines, and we get a narrow range bar as it's starting to close below the 8, 20, and 50, then we have a perfect trade setup. I'm going to keep an eye on it. The 50 starting to curve back around, it looks like. The 200's coming down nice and strong on it, so that's good too. Well, I got my break even in on the trade. I hate it when that's all I can do is break even. Come on, man, go down. All the way breaking back up. Unbelievable, this thing. All right, let's go. Come on down to the target. Come on down to the target. All right, we're going to use that candle as our stop loss. Hopefully it won't pop back up on us here. Keep coming down. Keep coming down. Don't go up. Don't turn green. And come down to the pivot down here. Come on, come on, so I can squeeze it. I'll be squeezing it tighter and tighter, and let's see what happens. Here we go. Let's go with the squeeze. Go with the squeeze. Keep going. There you go. Go with the squeeze. Keep popping. Pop down. Pop down. Pop down. Keep going. Come on, man. A little further.
Filled.
All right, so that was something. That was something. Taking the trade. I took the trade because the setup was good. The 50, the 20, and the 8 are all going in the same direction. We had a narrow range of bars right here. And as soon as it closed below or broke below that narrow range, I entered in. And we tried to have a target price and a stop loss trailing it closely and tightly. So we stayed in that trade as long as we could. All right, we're triggered in because price is pushing past this trend line, even both trend lines that we talked about earlier. And we could use this top part as our stop loss because each part is lower and lower. It's lower highs. It just created this pyramid or a triangle section here. And it looks like it's going to keep going down now. We'll see. Well, where's the stop loss? At the top of this pivot right here. I'll let you know how everything goes. Okay, for PayPal, we're trying to short because it's closed below those trend lines. And we got a stop loss at a reasonable price above these pivots and 2 for 1 down to the low of the day. So let's see what happens. Just be patient. Well, I'm over trading with PayPal. I'm trying to fight and keep my stop losses very tight. But I just went ahead and made an executive decision that I'm going to use the high of the day as my stop out and stay in this trade and stop getting whipsawed. I'm getting whipsawed like crazy right now. So I'll let you know how it goes. All right, so ultimately I just closed the position. It's not selling off. I got whipsawed and chopped around, overtraded, and my decision was finalized over here on the 5-minute chart. You see the bull signal where the 20 and the 8 cross over the 50. So now you got the 20 and the 8 over the 50 heading up on the 5-minute chart. And you got the moving averages, the 8, the 20, the 50, and the 100 all pointing up in this direction. So it may go back down, who knows? But at this point, I cannot confidently stay in the short position on this. So we are done trading for the day.